Welcome to today's signing of the Joint Record of Decision for the Columbia River System operations, the last step on a years-long effort to develop a modern, responsive plan for the future operation of the 14 federal dams of the Columbia River System. I'm Frances Coffey. I am the Programs Director for the Army Corps of Engineers, Northwestern Division. In this role, I oversee the Civil Works program across the Northwestern region, which includes both the Columbia and Missouri River basins. Over the past year, I have been serving as the lead federal official for this EIS effort. Earlier today, the federal co-lead agency executives pinned their names to the Record of Decision. This work contributes to the future social, environmental, and economic benefits of this interconnected system that reduces risk to lives, property, and infrastructure during flood events, supports a navigation system that is a key component in the regional economy. The same river and its tributaries provide water for millions of people throughout the basin, and it generates 8,500 average megawatts of carbon-free hydropower. The work of this EIS will continue the system support of fish and wildlife conservation efforts that are key to our culture and our values, and will continue to provide for recreation from the upper basin down to the estuary. As we rotate the camera around to our virtual event today, our participants will recognize the partnership, dialogue, and engagement, the science and the analysis, and the continued support and value of this system and the effort it took to reach this milestone. It is my pleasure to offer our first guest, Mr. Ryan Fisher.
Hey, thanks, Beth. I appreciate it. As Beth said, my name is Ryan Fisher. I am the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works. I'm here today on behalf of my boss, Mr. R.D. James. He is the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works. So from the onset of this process, Interior, Energy, the Army, we committed to developing an approach to river management that balances the agency's multiple river source needs, often competing needs, and our congressionally authorized purposes and missions. We further committed to a process that welcomed to the table the full spectrum of regional and local interests and the many differing perspectives they bring from upstream, downstream, along the main stem and its tributaries. This process confirmed the differing values and interests of the region, but also confirmed some of the commonalities as well. I want to commend the agencies and all the interests at the table for maintaining the integrity of the analysis and the spirit of collaboration following the President's memorandum that led to a revised project schedule. You hit the process completion target, achieved greater efficiencies in coordination and reviews, and sustained that critical commitment while considering the region's concerns. You all stayed at the table, each agency bringing expertise and the values and interests of the people who benefit from our federal missions. The exchange of ideas and the discourse on policy that drives creative and collaborative problem solving is evident in the analysis and the conclusions. These culminate now in the joint record of decision that was signed today. This one federal decision ensures that all three agencies can continue their operations and continue to improve these operations into the future in the context of science, while being mindful to represent all the needs and interests associated with the Columbia River Basin. This work renews our confidence in meeting our statutory project obligations while also complying with the requirements of the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Water Act, and all the other applicable laws of the land. And importantly, the experience and strength gained from the challenges of this process are a springboard to further progress in the region on the issues of fish and wildlife recovery, reliable and affordable clean electricity, and economic vitality for the tribes and other communities who depend on the Columbia River system for their way of life. So with that being said, I look forward to continued collaboration. We've started a great thing here, and I look forward to continuing to doing that and deepening our collaboration in response to the important issues and region's values. And I now like to turn it over and hear from General Pete Helmlinger. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Hello, I'm Brigadier General Pete Helmlinger, Commander of the Northwestern Division, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which provides command oversight of the Corps' dams across the Columbia River Basin through operational efforts of the Portland, Seattle, and Walla Walla districts. It is my pleasure to be with you today. I want to highlight that there was no greater representation in collaboration than from the 19 tribes of the Columbia River Basin affected by the operations of the 14 CRSO dams. As federal agencies, we have a historical relationship with the tribes, formally expressed in treaties, statutes, and executive orders. These tools served as the framework for our engagements over the past 4 years, but they do not characterize the heart and the commitment that tribal staff, leaders, and elders brought to this effort. Throughout this complex NEPA process, tribes as cooperating agencies volunteered as experts on several teams to make essential contributions to the effects analysis in areas such as fisheries, environmental, and cultural resources. Their immeasurable contributions range from consultations about the highest level policies all the way through the critical minutiae and modeling and scientific concepts that comprise the foundation of the technical analysis. The tribes participated in consultation discussions and other engagements and provided very helpful input throughout the development of the draft EIS. Tribes from different areas of the basin advocated strongly for actions reflective of their diverse and distinct cultures. There is one theme, however, that all of the tribes have in common: their association with and commitment to protecting the natural and cultural resources of their ancestral lands. As co-managers of these resources, their perspectives are crucial, and the Corps of Engineers and our interagency partners resonate an obligation to these resources beyond what we know and from which we can and must still learn. On behalf of the 3 co-lead agencies, I want to acknowledge that these tribes and emphasize our agency's appreciation for their forthright participation and expertise, and especially their tribal perspectives on the approaches to the system's complexities and opportunities. We remain committed to our trust responsibilities, but we know that sustaining the relationships that deepen through this collaboration will provide the greatest value to the region. It remains important that it is not just tribal guaranteed rights that are exercised, but that tribal perspectives retain a prominent place in the management of the Columbia River system. I thank you and would now like to invite Dr. Tim Petty to say a few words.
Thank you so much, General. It's just been a privilege to be able to work with you and your team from the Army Corps. And thank you, Ryan and Beth, for all the incredible work that you have provided in this process. It's been, I know, for almost over 4 years working together in this joint project and this joint record of decision coming together, which is really a celebration of a milestone in this time and this work. So it's just been a real privilege to be able to work with you. A couple of highlights that I want to hit on in the work that we've done together is just working on this wide range of the science that have gone together, working with each of these co-leading agencies side by side, re-looking at the information and data for the purpose, needs, and objectives that have been set out in front of each one of us, but even more so of what the President has commanded us to do, which is work together and work with one designated lead with Beth and your team, General, that has just been outstanding. Thank you for that. And in the midst of all of that, taking that high quality information and building it around all the different models that all the agencies, as well as the states and tribes communities have come together to build in the importance that each of these communities bring to the importance of the Columbia River. It's just been a privilege to work side by side with each and every one of you. Also with that is just the independent review and reviewers that have taken part in this participation of the science. The expertise that has gone into this, hundreds of thousands of working man hours, has been just impressive to read through the thousands of pages of documents that we have combed through to really build out a real adaptive management plan that has been such a part of this community for so long. Those best science and that adaptive management is what we look to also into the future so that we can build each of those steps side by side so that we can have the best run of the river. So as we build into the continual environmental impact statement that's been our forefront and practice of what we do for decades. Again, thank you for all the great work for all of us, Department of Energy, Bonneville, Army Corps, and even the privilege of introducing the next speaker, which is Lori Gray. She has been the Regional Director for the Columbia Pacific Northwest here. We're coming from Grand Coulee live together, being up here working side by side with her 100 of staff that just give their day and night work on the Grand Coulee, the workhorse of this community. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lori. Thank you for all the work that you've done in the past 4 years in this project.
Thank you, Dr. Petty. I appreciate that warm welcome. You know, the Bureau of Reclamation owns Grand Coulee and Hungry Horse, as well as several other projects across the West. And we're no stranger to completing quality environmental documents. But it's really been a privilege working with the Corps and Bonneville Power in this partnership. Earlier today, it was truly my great honor to be able to sign the Columbia River System Environmental Impact Statement Record of Decision. But before I talk about the importance of that record of decision, I really want to recognize that it's been 4 years, long hours, weekends, even missing moments with family and friends. We did it. We did it. Before I go into all of that detail, I really want to ask the folks from the 3 agencies to take a minute, take a breath, take an hour, go for a walk outside, and just really enjoy this accomplishment. It's very significant. And I want all of those people to know that your contributions did not go unnoticed. Your work ethic is something that is just truly amazing. I also want to thank our partners, cooperating agencies, tribal leaders, and the many others that work together with us, contributing to the development of this environmental impact statement. The document evaluates the necessary balances between responsible environmental stewardship and the multiple uses of the Columbia River system. We had over 30 cooperating agencies, tribes, intertribal organizations, federal agencies, state and local governments, and we all agreed to work with us on the NEPA process. We very much appreciate their technical expertise and the input on these documents. As Dr. Petty recognized, that continuous peer review has really helped improve the product. General Helmlinger talked about the tribal engagement, and we very much appreciate all of those tribal leaders and the technical staff, but I really want to focus some time on the state. These co-lead agencies worked along with us side by side, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana. They provided invaluable expertise and data for this EIS. The state stood together calling for continued commitment to improving conditions for the region's fish and wildlife. They saw the importance of optimization and balancing across resource areas. The regional collaboration really helped shape how we're going to move this Columbia River system forward for the next several years. We appreciate them, and we look forward to the partnership that will continue both with the states and the tribes. We understand at this point that the states are in the early stages of a regional focus forum to address the wide range of issues related to the Columbia River Basin. The state's role in the management of the basin is important, and we look forward to their continued collaboration as we move forward post-record of decision. The record of decision selects the preferred alternative as identified in the final EIS. The selected alternative meets the purpose and need and the action and a majority of the EIS objectives. Balancing the co-lead agency's abilities to meet statutory obligations while complying with the requirements from ESA, NEPA, Clean Water Act, and other applicable laws. Reclamation proudly supports this decision. I would again like to express my gratitude to all of the folks that have helped us get to this record of decision. I would also like to recognize the men and women across Reclamation, the Corps of Engineers, and Bonneville Power who work every day to maintain and operate these systems. They keep the water flowing, they keep the power generating, and it's a huge, huge benefit to the Pacific Northwest. So next, I would like to pass it over to Bruce Walker from Department of Energy. Bruce is not joining us via video, but by phone. Bruce, I'll hand it over to you for a few remarks.
Much, Lori, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Again, I would like to thank the teams who worked tirelessly to achieve this great, important goal, as well as their day-to-day operation, sustaining the upper Northwest. You know, I think this process demonstrates the federal agencies' resolve and commitment to fully understanding the impacts that any changes to the operation of the Columbia River system would have on the needs and benefits of the Northwest, that, on a day-to-day basis, that system meets and provides opportunity to many, many people in various aspects of its capabilities. The leadership and the staff of the Corps, the Bureau, and Bonneville, undertook a tremendous amount of listening and learning through the process to ensure that we were able to incorporate all the understanding of the needs of the constituents as we move forward with this process. The preferred alternative being implemented ensures that the Columbia River system can continue to, number one, generate and continue to generate affordable, reliable, renewable power for the Northwest electric taxpayers. Number two, provide for the irrigation, navigation, and recreation that supports the region and the nation's economy. Number three, reduce the flood risk of the many cities and communities along the river system and many defense critical infrastructure. And four, support the fish and wildlife that live and in the rivers and many, many people have the opportunity to enjoy. Today's joint decision preserves those critical benefits of the reliable, affordable, and carbon-free electric power, the economic vitality provided by the river, and the public safety for the many communities and people that depend on the river for their livelihood, as well as places where they live and raise their families. And it does so while also addressing the agencies in the region's shared desire in protecting and the growing population of salmon and other fish species in the river. Again, I really, truly want to thank the dedication, resolve, and the hard work by the many to make this day a real reality. Thank you. And at this point, I'll hand off to John Hairston, who's our acting BPA administrator, to speak on his behalf.
All right, good afternoon, and thank you, Bruce. I'm John Hairston, acting administrator and CEO for the Bonneville Power Administration, and I'm honored to be here as part of this ceremony today. As you know, the Federal Columbia River System is an incredible public asset. It has provided reliable, affordable, renewable energy for people of the Northwest for more than 80 years. It drives the region's economic prosperity and is a big part of our way of life. Today, the system is just not the Northwest's biggest source of clean energy. It's the perfect partner for new non-hydro renewables that are connecting to our grid. That's because hydropower is available around the clock, keeping the lights on when the sun sets and when the wind is still. Looking ahead, the system is vital to achieving our region's clean energy goals and the need to a thriving modern economy. With so many people dependent on this system, there are many views and opinions about the best way to manage it. Our approach to the Columbia River System Operations Review reflects our robust commitment to understanding all of the needs and interests related to this tremendous public asset. The joint decision we are making today considered extensive input from cooperating agencies, including our tribal and state partners, the National Marine Fisheries Service, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We also incorporated input from our power customers and tens of thousands of comments from the general public. Throughout this process, it was clear that the people of the Northwest share many common values and interests. Our joint decision seeks to strike a balance across multiple perspectives. Today's decision is meaningful and historic. It's a significant departure from the status quo of how we oversee, maintain, and configure the Columbia River system. These new operations demonstrate the types of trade-offs and balance necessary to enhance the system for both fish and power. And our analysis show that if BPA continues to manage costs and leverage additional revenue opportunities, we can limit or avoid financial impacts and continue to be our customers' provider of choice for low-cost, reliable, responsible, carbon-free power. While the federal agencies have arrived at this joint decision, we view this as a milestone, not an end. Our hope is that this process serves as a catalyst for continued collaboration on regional solutions for improved fish and wildlife conditions. We are eager to continue focusing on solutions with our tribal partners, the 4 states, and others invested in the recovery and mitigation for fish and wildlife while providing low-cost energy. From the outset, our goal was to really develop an approach to river management that preserves the core economic benefits of the federal system, enhances our efforts to protect fish and wildlife, protect life and property, and sustain cultural resources. We believe this approach we are adopting will achieve these goals. It also preserves the irrigation and navigation uses of the system that are critical to the economic vitality of the Northwest. At the same time, it also provides flexibility for the future so we can improve as the science advances. Now, none of this would have been possible without the dedicated public servants who are committed to the betterment of our region. They have listened with open minds and used what they've learned along the way to develop a final product that will benefit fish while providing clean, dependable, affordable power for the people of the Northwest. I thank everyone who participated in getting us to this decision today. And I'd like to hand over to Commissioner Brenda Berman for additional comments.
Thank you, Mr. Hairston. I am honored to be here representing the Bureau of Reclamation as our 23rd commissioner, serving President Trump and Secretary Bernhardt for the American people. On this great day, I want to start with a big congratulations to this incredible team on such a remarkable achievement. Well done. The Columbia River System Operations Environmental Impact Statement and Joint Record of Decision introduces actions to help us maintain better infrastructure. And the Columbia River System in so many ways is defined by its infrastructure, 14 federal dam and reservoir projects. Modernizing important infrastructure will help balance multiple purposes and continue progress to improve conditions for salmon and steelhead. And these improvements will benefit flood control, hydropower, water storage and delivery, transmission work, and so much more. Some improvements will benefit fish passage for salmon, steelhead, Pacific lamprey. Improvements such as fish ladders and spillway weirs, powerhouse, surface passage, and turbine upgrades. So much work is being done, and this process has been preparing us to get it all done. Regional collaboration is key to operate and maintain the Columbia River system for all of those who rely on this critical resource. Discussions about future management of the Columbia River system does not end here. The EIS is just one part of an ongoing effort of partner agencies to manage the Great Columbia River system for all of those who depend on it. Much like everyone here today, the Bureau of Reclamation recognizes the responsibility we have to the people, the economy, and the environment of the Columbia River system. We look forward to continuing to work alongside our many partners. Now, let me pass the platform to Rear Admiral Gallaudet of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner Berman, for allowing me to join this terrific event today. I am the Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Oceans and Atmosphere and the Deputy Administrator at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. On behalf of all the dedicated staff at NOAA, I want to congratulate you and the entire team here that collaborated to complete this historic agreement. I'm here to demonstrate that NOAA leadership has been all in on implementing the 2018 executive order on promoting the reliable supply of water in the West. This record of decision today is the result of truly remarkable interagency collaboration. NOAA worked with the action agencies through the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, and the Endangered Species Act processes to include important conservation measures in the proposed action. These measures will continue to improve our previous commitments to protect salmon and steelhead, iconic West Coast fish species that are extremely valuable to commercial, recreational, and tribal fisheries, as well as the culture and economy of the region. And speaking of fisheries, the Trump administration has shown strong support for our nation's fisheries, providing $300 million in CARES Act funding to assist the recovery of fisheries hit hard by the pandemic, as well as releasing in May the executive order on promoting seafood competitiveness and economic growth. Restoring salmon and steelhead habitat is a critical component in the conservation measures that are in this agreement, and they include improvements to tributary and estuary habitat conditions, reducing predation, and they have the potential to increase adult returns through flexible skill. But for all this and the progress we've made here today and in fisheries management throughout the nation, NOAA will continue to apply the latest advances in environmental science and technology. So in closing, NOAA is a proud partner with all of those on this call to keep the Columbia River a healthy and vibrant key to a productive and prosperous future for all who depend upon it. Thank you, and back to you, Beth.
Thank you, and thank Thank you, each of you, for your support and words today. On behalf of the Army Corps of Engineers, Bureau of Reclamation, and Bonneville Power Administration, we thank you for commemorating this milestone with us today.